Good morning, family. Today's one of those extra special Sundays. We have a chance to sit at the feet of a couple of wonderful men, Chuck and Jim, your wives, Michelle and Kelly. It's great to have you folks here with us today. Very blessed. Today is Mission Minded Sunday. And it's interesting, isn't it? When we think of missions, I think many times we think of, those up in the north. The smaller congregations, our role is to support, and it is, but we should be mission-minded too. We have a mission here locally, and what's really fun about Chuck is that he likes to kid around, but he's dead serious about souls, and teaching and training and equipping people like us to see the world in a different way, in a mission-minded way. So Chuck, we are honored to have you here with us. Jim, thank you, and of course for the support that you gain from your wives is second to none. So Chuck, this morning, please come up here and preach the word, my friend.
Michelle and I, honestly, when we were here for some 10 years, we normally came to the 11 o'clock service. And so it's an honor to be here at the 7:30 assembly. Wow. It's really interesting. I got to meet Ron's friend Jacob last night. And we had conversations. We had the wild game dinner, and it was just over the top excellent. I leaned over to him this morning. Hey, good to see you again. He said, man, these people really have it in for you. My response was, they have a reason. But needless to say, to see y'all, to be here, and it's beyond words to lay it out expressly what you, the Waterford congregation, have meant to Michelle and I. And we are so grateful. And I really want to make sure that you understand, anytime people say to us, wow, you're doing a great work up there, that doesn't set well with me, because that's not accurate. You mean kindly, there's no doubt about that. But it's not about we. Good morning, Sam. Great to see you, brother. We means Michelle and I, y'all here at Waterford. There are supporters from around the country who are involved in this work. The accurate way of saying is God is doing a phenomenal work through us. The we is all of us and those we don't see here. And I cannot thank you enough. And let me put a plug in. When Bob Dunn lists we're going to be going up to Grayling to worship with them, you have no idea what just you being there means. Just you in the chair. Well, Grayling, they have pews. It means everything. Because about a year ago, they were about to shut their doors. It was their thought, what are we going to do? And I said, no, that's not an option. That's not even on the table to discuss. Our goal is how are we going to move forward and build the congregation back up. That's our mission. And I've been listening and watching some of Tad's YouTube back to basic lessons. I took one of the stack of sheets from the foyer last night, and I'm flipping through it, and I'm going, wow, this is awesome. To continue that this morning, I want to build on this back to basics. It's the foundation. So without further ado, let's just get into the lesson. I'm going to start out with quite a negative. And I don't know if you all know this, but these statistics are from the 21st Century Christian publication. In the 29 years from 1990 to 2019, now that's pre-COVID, COVID has nothing to do with these statistics. Nothing. Zero. Didn't even exist. Well, it may have, but it hadn't been spread. This was, if you will, and I don't like to say it this way, but it's accurate. This was business as usual in the Lord's church. And it's not beautiful. Placed up against the mission that we have. From 1990 to 2019, 29-year average, 1,260 congregations of the Lord's church shut down. And it's 1,260 congregations of the Lord's church shut down. And simple math would tell you, well, it's about 43, 44 per year. But that's not the reality. Because in the last 4 years, 16, 17, 18, and 19, the average closures, 105 per year. What that stat tells you is the closings are accelerating. That's horrible. It's the wrong direction. And we don't just serve a strong leader, we serve Almighty God. That's not his plan. It's estimated now, post-COVID, that the closings are up to 120 per year. Now, that means every state in the union shuts down 2, and about 10 others, or 20 others, they get a third. That's just the average. Now, granted, see, we have to put some, in there. Maybe a military base was there. It moved out, and wow, it took everybody with them. That's a possibility. Some say, well, those Christians went to other congregations. You don't know that. But the reality is 1,260 communities had the light go out. It's not good. Now, we may stop and think, well, why are they accelerating? What's the reason for it? And we can have this, skull session and talk all about it. But with the theme back to basics, I'll share with you what I think the real horror is. I think we've lost our first love. I think we've set it aside. Now, this, seriously, although it doesn't seem that way yet, this is an encouraging lesson. And I guess you're thinking, well, if it's going to be peppy, could you get to the peppy part kind of quicker? No, we can't put our heads in the sand. This is reality. And this message is to every single person sitting in the auditorium, watching on YouTube, somebody who may watch it a year down the road. It just doesn't matter. It's for every one of us. And by the way, me too. I want to share with you a couple thoughts about losing our focus or laying it aside. You remember the 7 churches of Asia in Revelation? Well, in chapter 2 and verse 4, Jesus is addressing, via John, the church in Ephesus. Now, we remember back in Acts 20, he calls the elders to Miletus from Ephesus, says, watch yourselves. Well, when you fast forward to the book of Revelation, the account given from God to the members of the church in Ephesus starts out, you do many good works. You've got patient endurance. You can't stand evil, and for my sake, you have labored and you haven't fainted. Whoa, 2 thumbs up, right? Boy, what more do they need? Just keep doing that. No. He said, but I've got something against you. You need to hear this, Ephesus. His statement was, you've set aside your first love. Now that word, love, we really have to understand it. It's agape. New Testament was written in the Koine Greek. This is a Koine Greek word. And this word is not the warm and fuzzy. I see Ron. I see, Sherry. No, I see Sherry and Dwayne. And there's just this warm and fuzzy we get. That's a different Greek word. That word is phileo. And it's just that brotherly kind of love. Agape is the other side of the world. Agape is an action. It's a mental decision. I see somebody in need, and I'm going to supply it. Just because he has need. With no expectation in return for the deed I do from the individual I help. There's no conditions on it. Let me give you an example. You live next to some old crumdudgeon old man. Let's just say his name, Allie. Let's just pull a name from anywhere. Name is Allie. And for 30 years, all the years, you say hi to him, snarl. He blows his leaves on your yard in the fall. His snow he throws in your driveway. He sends his dogs and cats over to your yard. And every time you try to be nice to him, genuinely, just snarling. One day you're looking out, and Allie's cleaning his gutters up on a ladder. And he falls. He's got a broken leg. Now, you're the only one that can see him. So what do? You can sit there and enjoy seeing him writhing in pain, not agape. Or you can immediately go and render aid like that without having to think about it. You see, when we say unconditional, it literally means we don't sit and go down memory lane and get our scorecard out about how rotten and mean Allie is and has been to you. No. See, that's conditional. Agape is, you don't even think about stuff like that. You go help him. Take your phone quickly, 911, neighbor, et cetera, et cetera. And perhaps you go over and you cradle his head. If he's doing leaves, it might be cold. You cover him. You console him. See, that's agape. And you don't want anything back. You don't want him to pay you or send you a fruit basket or anything like that. You just want to do it. Why? Because God is agape. We're made in his image. We're to render aid. Let me share with you why this is so critical. Romans 12:19 says, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. See, he doesn't want us down here taking vengeance. Anybody can do that. You don't even have to think about that. You hit me, I'm going to hit you back. No. Think about Allie on the ground. I do often. When we go over and we console him, he knows how mean he's been to you. But here, you're coming over to help me. What's he going to think? It's pretty powerful. And by the way, we're not exactly pristine and fair in the way we venge. You know, we pick and choose. God has this beautiful mindset that's perfect. Never even off kilter a little bit. It's perfect. And he is fair and just, coupled with mercy. Usually we like the justice part, but the mercy is hard, especially when you see him laying on the ground writhing and you think about, oh, he's been, help him, you got to be out of here. No, you're in your right mind if you're moving towards agape love. Do you realize that God does not want to take vengeance? It's not his desire. He didn't send Jesus so he could venge people. He sent so he could save. That's his purpose. So we would render aid, kindness, gentleness to someone who has treated us horrifically and not wanting anything back in return. Because he wants us to render mercy and kindness to those who don't deserve it. Does that ring a bell, brethren? Jesus Christ, we didn't deserve. And so since he has blessed us with such a powerful position, a child of God, he wants us to act as he does. Now, imagine the difference in Allie laying down there and you rendering aid. You don't do it to heap coals on his head. That's not agape love, because that's revenge. I'm going to make you feel bad by being so nice. No, we don't do that. We do it because it's necessary. We do it because it's godlike. That's why we do it. It's his nature and character. And let me say something, man, I'm going to tell you very clearly. It's not easy. That's probably why very few people engage in it. This is tough. This is extremely difficult. There's another passage I want us to look at. It goes back to the ark. It lays out in chapter 6 and verse 5 that God looked down and the wickedness was just awful. It filled the earth. And in verse 6, it's a very unusual statement. And it says it grieved God. Literally, it carved a piece out of him. Well, think about that. Now, he wasn't from 100% God to 97%. No, that's not it. What it's saying is it cut him to the heart. It cut away some of his joy of having made them. It hurt. See, our God's not a stone statue who can't be moved. It's an emotional, loving God. And it says, every imagination of the thought and the intent of the heart was only evil continually. Even if somebody was doing something nice for you, there was an evil intent in thought behind it. It was amazing. So why did it grieve God? Why did this just, if you will, cut a piece out of him, out of his moment, his emotion? That's how he is. He knew it was going to happen, right? So, we say, well, what's the big deal? Here's the big deal. Now he had to punish them. He didn't want to do that. That's what tore him up. He looks down and goes, isn't that what I created them to be? And now, since they've gone beyond the point of return, I have to punish. I don't want to do that. Children, your parents never want to punish you for the joy of it. They do it for your development and learning. And I tell you, as a father and a grandfather, when we said it's going to hurt me more than you, in a different way, because your disobedient carved a piece out of us for a moment. And now God has to punish, not an option. That's his nature and character. He cannot accept evil and sin. If you will, turn to 1 Corinthians 13. This is often referred to as the love chapter. And John said it at the Lord's Supper table when he said, all these great works profit you nothing unless the agape love is the foundation. The word here for love is agape in 13. If you have the word charity, not really the best translation. And on your own, I won't do it right now, but when you read this, especially 4 through 8, put your name there. Love isn't rude. Chuck isn't rude. Chuck doesn't boast. Chuck, put your own name in there. Because your mind, you're going to go, oh, well, that's true, or I need to work on that. That's a wonderful self-evaluation as you go through it. in this chapter, and remember, we're cutting into the middle of a topic that Paul began to the church in chapter 12. Now concerning the spiritual gifts, da-da-da-da-da. And through all the wonderful things they could do, he said, I'm going to show you a more excellent way at the end of 12. And listen and think of Ephesus, all these good things you're doing. That's wonderful, but this kind of underlines his comment in Revelation 2. If I speak with the tongues of men and angels, I don't have love. That's agape, that unconditional. I'm just like a bank sounding cymbal. In verse 2, he talks about if I have all knowledge, I understand all mysteries, I have the gift of prophecy, and I have faith so strong that I could say, I can go to Colorado and say, Rockies, go to California, and all of a sudden they start moving to California. And if you saw that, you'd go, whoa, that's pretty impressive. I give all my stuff away and give my body to be burned. You know, if that's the same guy doing all this, you look back and go, what a guy. Do you know something? Paul says, if I'm not operating, the actions that I give are not motivated and founded in that unconditional love, God's going, your ledger sheet, 0 for all these things you did. Same thing he said to the church in Ephesus. You're doing all these wonderful things. But I have this against you. You've set aside your first love. If you don't change that, I am going to come and I'm going to take the candlestick from your midst. Now, many commentators have different thoughts on what he meant by that, but every one of them agree on one thing. You don't want it. Wow. All of these wonderful things that they're doing. And Paul says to the church, you don't have that foundation of agape love moving you to do these things. 0. Let me make this statement. It's pretty strong. You can't get to heaven without it. Just think about that for a minute. Without, I'm not saying, we have to conquer it completely. You probably never will. But we change our heart. We change the way we see things. We change the attitude on everything. And to grow to where we need to be, it is an impossibility without this agape love. It's impossible. You see, God is agape. He is unconditionally loving. We have to go that route. We have to daily try, hourly, minute, second. We have to be moving in that direction. If you want to go to heaven. Well, I'm this age and I'm kind of in my way. Get out of those ways. Change it. Because the Lord will take the candlestick away. And he doesn't want to do that. And as I said, go through the rest of, 4 through 8. Put your name in there. And how does that resonate within your own mind? Because you know who we are. Now, moving forward with the mission, I think it's critical for us to understand and be careful and listen to these cautions from the church in Ephesus and to in the day of Noah in Genesis chapter 6. Yeah, I'll just say it. Waterford, one of the first things that we recognized when we came here back in 2011, look at the bulletin, it's jammed. It was like dozens and dozens of different things we could get involved in. And our thoughts, Michelle and I were going, wow, to develop and establish a good brother's keeper. You take the new Christians, look at all we have to get them involved in. Bulletin was full of things. And I'll say the same thing to you that was said to Ephesus and to Corinth. Good. But be careful, Waterford, and everybody who's listening. that we don't lay aside that first love. And don't let Satan fool you with that, please. You see, when we develop the agape love, we become more powerful in the kingdom. It doesn't matter your education, your finances, your degrees, all that kind. That means nothing. Agape love will be more effective in reaching lost souls than all of the degrees and the money and the education and all of that. I'm just telling you, because all that is not godlike. Agape love is godlike. I'll say it again, it's tough. Very difficult. But it's worth it. Because you become sharper. You become more attuned with what gifts that you have. You will discover gifts that you have. And it will amaze you what God will do for you. So what do? I mean, how do we work on this? Oh, that's a nice lesson, Chuck. Well, let's bring it forward to today. I drive the bus to pick up folks in the neighborhood. Boy, that's a good thing. But go back to the basic. Why? Is it out of a unconditional agape love? You answer those questions, not me. I work in building and grounds. Good. This building is beautifully maintained. Beautifully. Byron and formerly, well, not formerly Bob Dyer, but former member here, Bob Dyer, and Glenn Sherman and Brother Golombeski and so many others work to keep it that way. It's gorgeous. I work in building and grounds. That's wonderful. That's good. Go back behind it. Why? What's your motivation behind it? Totally. Very important to check those. I'm on lockup duty, but that's good. Don't forget to exercise agape love while you do it and why you do it. I'm an evangelist in northern Michigan. Don't think for one moment that we don't stop. I know Jim and Tad, we've had conversations about this. Michelle and I, why are we doing this? You know, what's the effect? I mean, we got, to evangelize and teach the lost soul. No, it goes beyond that. It goes to the point of we love our Savior, we love lost souls. And that's not funny. You know, God takes no pleasure in the death of the wicked. He doesn't want it to happen. And see, when we show the agape love, we're helping our God get the gospel to people who see it. It's not available in the world. You realize that? We are the only ones, Christians are the only ones who can exercise this because we know the one who is agape love. The world doesn't. And we want so bad for them to have it. I'm an elder. Okay, good. But am I doing it out of agape love? I'm a deacon. Good. Check yourselves. The true motivation down to the very core of our thinking. And we can go on and on and on. Here's some solutions. This is the peppy part, by the way. Okay? I think it is. We have offered so many times, and I'm going to say it here. Come spend time with us up north in Sheboygan. We have a guest room. Michelle will put mints on the pillow. Anybody who's been up there, you know it. Girardelli. It's not like, Hershey or something. Man, this is good stuff. Come up and spend time. Travel around with us. You don't have to do or say anything. You can just come up and experience it. I'm telling you. Working with small congregations who are hungry and thirsty is eye-opening. Or you want to come up and give a lesson. Ladies, you want to teach a ladies' class? Great. Men, you want to serve in the assemblies? Oh, when Bob posts the Grayling trip, there's no way I can tell you how excited they get when you come up. And Steve, he'll lead singing, and Tommy leads a prayer. Jerry Parrott gives the sermon, and so on and so on and so on. It excites them. Y'all know that in many of the congregations, you have more people waiting to use the bathroom in the foyer than they have membership. Seriously. And just your presence there, it's so powerful. And trust me, they love it. How do you grow in the agape love? Well, I'm going to suggest to you that our God gives us dozens and dozens of opportunities every day. The world helps out. How about driving? Wow. We know when we're back in the South, Southern Michigan. And we know when Southern Michigan folks are up in Northern Michigan. During the week, it's wonderful. You get the weekend, like Crash Bandicoot all over again up there. Well, one of my pet peeves used to be, you're driving, there's nobody in front of you for a mile, and there's nobody behind you for a mile. In fact, you don't even see cars. Someone pulls out in front of you, you have to slow down, and then they turn right. Now, some of you probably went, man, that just killed you. Not agape love. I have learned, and it took a long time, to pray for them. Maybe there is a genuine emergency, other than, the Gunsmoke reruns are going to start. Maybe somebody's actually having a physical emergency. My prayer is always, Father, thank you for letting it be to me, because I'm not going to do any road rage. And not someone else. See, this is the concept and the idea of agape love. You can work on that. And there's 1,000 driving we could do. How about you go out to dinner? Your steak's cold or your meal's cold. How do you react? I've seen brethren almost throw a fit. It's like, dude, it's a meal. You got 3 more rolling around tomorrow. Don't worry about it. They'll fix it. A brother or a sister offends you. That's hard. Matthew 18, Jesus said, go talk to them. You don't approach them, but man, you ever pull that nonsense again, let me tell you what's going to come raining down on you. No, that's worldly love. The agape love is, have I offended you? No, man, I'm sorry. See, Jesus said, you're going to know, they will know you're my disciples, how you love each other. And let's not confuse agape love with, after the assembly's over, you stand up and you got your regular 10, 15, 20 people that, you're just so excited about. And you get, no, that's phileo. That's that enjoyment of the brother. And meanwhile, a visitor stands there going. Michelle and I have been to places and done seminars where they've said, we're a friendly congregation. We didn't know it before they said it, and we didn't know it when we left. Because they confused friendliness with each other as being a friendly congregation. Visitors leave and go, man, they're not very friendly. Be careful. How about when your spouse does or doesn't do what you think she or he ought to have? How do you react? These are ways to work on the agape love. Remember what I said earlier? It's hard. It's hard. It's not natural. That's why we needed Jesus. We needed the Logos to show us what it's all about. And when we do operate on a continuing higher standard of the biblical version of agape love, we become more powerful. You become sharper. You become more mature. And the influence you'll have on brethren here in the outside world, it's phenomenal. It truly is amazing. You know, like I could have cried when you led prayer. I mean that genuinely. Bill Young brought Ron Well to us many years ago. We studied in the library over at the Auburn Hills building and baptized you one afternoon. how many years ago? 15? Yeah, something like that. And to come here 15 years later, he's still standing strong in the faith. Brethren, these are the joys of evangelism that you cannot receive idly. I'm going to tell you, all of those people you invited and spoke to that said no or responded harshly to you, they fade into insignificant. Oh, you hope they come back. But when you get a Ron Well, you get a Betty Tucker, you get a Bonnie Stoddard, and Joe and Jerry were influential in bringing them to us. Well, Betty, she's a work in progress. You see why they get I deserve. No, these are joys that are unspeakable. And when you sit there, it's not arrogance. You're saying, God, thank you for letting me have an opportunity to be instrumental in someone who was lost to being saved. Brother, I cannot emphasize enough how outstanding that is. Or brothers like Tom Kaluzny. He's preached in Alpena, 22, 25 times, led singing, and phenomenal stuff. He actually spoke in Pennsylvania when we went and did a seminar. They fell in love with him. Helping a brother develop, a sister develop. I'm just telling you, the work in the kingdom founded on the agape love is off the charts. It's special. Ingrid, I got her name down here. What a joy. Time? I'm over? I'm over? Yeah, let the meatloaf burn, man. We're going to sit here for another little bit of... Let me close with this. And I mean this genuinely and sincerely. The work that's going up in northern Michigan, especially with Jim and Kelly in Alpena, is outstanding. You talked about all those congregations closing over 29 years. I don't know if you realize this or not, but there are 3 congregations up there that have said, okay, work with us. Grayling, Rogers City, and Alpena. At one time, there was a total of about 23 members combined in those 3 congregations. Last July 3rd, in those 3 congregations, 110 people were in the assembly in those 3 congregations. They went from a death knell to not just survive, they're thriving. And that's why we say, come up and be a part of that. A weekend, a day, whatever you can do. Just ride along and be the, sightseer. Because they're serious about evangelism up there. The agape love is difficult for you. Join the rest of us. But I'll take the words of our Savior and paraphrase it and say, it's worth the effort. And it's not worth not the effort, because it'll cost you your soul. You have leaders here, you have Tad, you have others who are experienced in growth and development, and I'm not but 4 hours north. But a phone call it eliminates geography. If I can help you, if the church can help you, we have a song picked out. Come on, or see us afterwards. Don't lose the joy of developing that unconditional love. You walk with a spirit in your spirit. Come on forward as we stand and sing.